Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today we're stepping into a world where discipline meets danger, where ancient traditions blend with raw, unadulterated power. We're embarking on a true deep dive into what genuinely makes a martial art deadly.
It's an absolutely fascinating exploration, one that compels us to look beyond mere brute force and instead focus on the intricate interplay of strategy, efficiency, and the often intense historical context that forged these distinct fighting systems. We're going to systematically unpack the precise criteria that define deadliness, scrutinize specific, impactful examples, and even peer into the potential future evolution of combat arts.
You've provided us with a truly compelling stack of source materials for this deep dive, including an exceptionally detailed examination of what makes these arts so formidable. Our mission, as always, is to meticulously extract the most vital nuggets of knowledge and insight, offering you a direct shortcut to becoming profoundly well-informed on this captivating and, frankly, sometimes unsettling topic. Okay, let's unpack this right from the beginning. Before we even begin to categorize specific styles, what does our comprehensive source material tell us about what truly qualifies a martial art as deadly? It's clearly much more nuanced than just a gut feeling or an intimidating reputation, isn't it?
Absolutely. Our primary source meticulously lays out very clear, almost clinical criteria. A martial art is fundamentally defined as deadly, not by popular perception, but by its verifiable attributes. Firstly, and perhaps most grimly, is its capacity to cause death. This isn't just about inflicting injury. It's the ultimate undeniable measure, truly setting the grim bar for what we're discussing. It speaks to the absolute destructive potential.
So it's about the ultimate outcome, not just a flashy technique. That's a sobering distinction.
Precisely. Secondly, a truly deadly art demonstrates a heavy concentration on offensive maneuvers. It's not primarily about defense, about waiting, or about deflection. It's designed to attack, to seize the initiative, and to overwhelm an opponent swiftly. This aggressive posture is a hallmark.
That makes perfect sense. If your goal is to incapacitate, you need to be able to act decisively and offensively.
Exactly. Thirdly, and crucially, is competence in realistic contexts. This means its effectiveness isn't theoretical or confined to a controlled environment like a padded dojo. It's been proven in real-world scenarios, be that on a historical battlefield, in self-defense confrontations, or in modern full-contact competitive settings where the stakes are incredibly high. The source explicitly emphasizes that they analyzed documented evidence of their authenticity in combat. That's a powerful statement, suggesting these aren't just abstract concepts, but systems with a tangible, often brutal track record.
That's a powerful distinction separating theoretical effectiveness from proven application. It grounds the entire discussion in reality.
Indeed. And finally, these arts are characterized by paramount efficiency, versatility, and speed. These aren't just desirable traits, they are essential characteristics that allow for the rapid and effective neutralization of an opponent. It's about minimizing wasted motion and maximizing impact, adapting to unpredictable situations, and executing with blinding quickness.
So it's not about elaborate theatrical moves, but genuine distilled effectiveness in a high-stakes combat situation. This sounds like the ultimate form of applied physics and physiology.
That's a wonderful way to put it. And a critical point our source makes immediately, one that cannot be overstated, is the absolute necessity of safety when learning and practicing these techniques. They are inherently hazardous if handled without meticulous proper training, experienced instruction, and an unwavering commitment to caution. We're talking about mandatory wearing of protective gear, the use of thick mats during grappling, and strict adherence to established safety protocols as absolutely crucial precautions. It really underscores the profound seriousness and inherent risks of these arts. They are effective precisely because they can cause severe harm, even death, and that grim reality must be respected and managed in every training session.
It's a stark reminder that we're not just discussing fascinating histories or athletic prowess, but genuinely dangerous capabilities. Our source even provides an initial overview mentioning what it considers a top 10 deadliest martial arts based on techniques, history, and real-life combat effectiveness. That broader list includes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga, Muay Thai, boxing, Jeet Kune Do, karate, taekwondo, kung fu, judo, and aikido. However, for our deep dive today, we're going to intensely focus on 10 specific martial arts for which our sources provided granular, in-depth, detailed descriptions. This allows us to truly unpack the nuances of their deadly nature, giving us the practical understanding of how and why they earned their reputation.
Right. So while that top 10 list gives some context, we're really digging into the details on these specific 10 where the information is richest.
Exactly. Let's delve into each of these. We'll explore what makes them so profoundly dangerous, their unique approaches, and what specific insights our source material provides.
Okay. We begin our detailed exploration with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, often abbreviated as BJJ, a grappling-centric martial art. Its core focus is on ground fighting and an extensive array of joint locks and chokeholds. This is significant because it fundamentally shifts the entire dynamic of a confrontation, moving it away from striking range and onto a canvas where a different set of rules, or rather principles, apply.
Here's where it truly gets compelling. Our source highlights BJJ's core philosophy, a brilliant utilization of leverage, technique, and strategic positioning instead of relying on sheer strength or brute size. This core principle is what allows individuals of smaller stature to not only defend themselves, but effectively subdue much larger, stronger opponents. It's a fundamental concept that truly empowers the perceived underdog, turning a physical disadvantage into a strategic one.
That's truly its genius. With a vast and intricate variety of techniques, including sophisticated joint locks that target elbows, knees, and shoulders, and a myriad of chokeholds designed to restrict blood flow to the brain, it is incredibly formidable. The source notes that BJJ is trained both in the traditional Gi, the martial arts uniform, which provides gripping points, and in no-gi scenarios, typically involving a rash guard and fight shorts. This versatility emphasizes its adaptability to different combat contexts, demonstrating that it's not just about adhering to tradition, but about practical, real-world application.
Right, so it works whether you can grab onto clothing or not.
Exactly. And beyond its combat effectiveness, which is clear, our source also points out some surprising, almost holistic benefits of practicing BJJ. It's noted to enhance muscle tone, encourage significant cardiovascular health, and remarkably improve reasoning and critical thinking skills.
How so? The reasoning part.
Well, because practitioners are constantly forced to analyze their opponent's movements, anticipate reactions, and quickly consider their next offensive or defensive action, often several steps ahead, akin to a physical game of chess. It's a full body and full mind workout, which is a fascinating byproduct of such a dangerous art.
So it makes you consider, how does this profound emphasis on leverage and technique over brute physical stature make BJJ universally applicable, regardless of an individual's physical attributes? And what does that teach us about overcoming perceived disadvantages, not just in combat, but in any field where raw power might seem to be the primary factor?
It's about smart intellectual application of force, rather than just raw, unthinking power. It's a really powerful lesson.
Okay. Moving from the strategic ground game, what's next?
We turn our attention to Krav Maga, an Israeli martial art specifically designed for practical, no-nonsense self-defense. This isn't merely about sport or codified tradition. It is fundamentally about survival, forged in the crucible of extreme necessity.
And the source unequivocally emphasizes its incredibly aggressive and direct techniques, prioritizing the immediate and decisive neutralization of adversaries without traditional restrictions or adherence to fair play. It was developed by the Hungarian Jewish martial artist Emre Lichtenfeld for the grim purpose of survival in the face of brutal persecution and extermination during a period of intense violence. This truly dire historical context shaped its very nature, instilling a philosophy that prioritizes staying alive above all else.
Absolutely. It systematically employs a combination of strategic, debilitating strikes and forceful kicks, often targeting vulnerable points, to subdue opponents with alarming speed and efficiency. What makes it particularly dangerous, as the source underscores, is its singular focus on real-world self-defense and the complete lack of limitations or restrictions on the techniques permitted in a life-threatening situation. Our research is very clear. Krav Maga does not emphasize harmony or spiritual enhancement, and instead encourages practitioners to use whatever methods are necessary to incapacitate their opponents.
So it really strips away any kind of romanticism or spiritual enhancement you might find in other arts. It's about pure, unadulterated pragmatism, doing whatever is necessary to incapacitate an opponent as swiftly as possible. That's a very stark, almost brutal approach to combat. It's about immediate, decisive action and nothing else.
It is, and it compels us to ask, how does a no-rules philosophy, born directly out of such desperate circumstances and focused purely on survival, fundamentally reshape our understanding of what effective self-defense truly means?
Sure.
Does it challenge the very notion of fair combat and push us towards pure, unadulterated effectiveness as the sole metric? And what are the implications of such a mindset on a practitioner?
Heavy questions. All right, so from that very pragmatic approach, where do we go next?
Transitioning from the pragmatic aggression of Krav Maga, We journey from Israel to Russia to explore Sambo, a martial art that truly embodies a remarkable blend of disciplines. It's a fascinating synthesis of various fighting styles, designed for robust, versatile combat.
Our source tells us that Sambo skillfully combines elements of judo, wrestling, and striking techniques, forging what it describes as an incredibly effective and lethal combat system. This intelligent fusion immediately signals a very versatile and adaptive art, pulling strengths from different established practices to create something uniquely comprehensive.
And Sambo, in fact, boasts various distinct disciplines, each with its own focus. Sport Sambo, self-defense Sambo, combat Sambo, special Sambo, and freestyle Sambo. The source provides a striking statistic that truly highlights its efficacy. An astounding 97% of its practitioners achieving success in international competitions.
Wow, 97%.
97%. This isn't just theory. It's a proven track record against other highly trained combatants from diverse backgrounds, demonstrating its effectiveness on a global stage.
That statistic is incredibly compelling. It speaks volumes about the system's practicality and its ability to consistently produce high-performing fighters.
And within those disciplines, combat Sambo is particularly singled out for its devastatingly powerful takedowns, hard, impactful strikes, and a relentless ground game that combines submissions and control. This combination proves its profound prowess in both modern mixed martial arts arenas and, more importantly, in real-life combat scenarios where the objective is swift, decisive victory. It's designed to finish a fight, whether the engagement starts on your feet or transitions immediately to the ground.
Considering this unique blend, what are the inherent advantages of a martial arts system that so comprehensively integrates diverse disciplines? And how might this concept of blending and synthesizing different approaches apply to other areas where diverse skill sets are needed, where combining varied methodologies leads to a more robust, adaptable, and ultimately more effective outcome?
It's a powerful model, blending the best of different worlds.
Okay, Sambo sounds incredibly well-rounded. What's next on the list?
Diving further into the world of grappling, we now turn our attention to wrestling, one of the oldest and most universally recognized martial arts globally. Its history stretches back millennia, with documented evidence of its practice in ancient civilizations, unequivocally proving its fundamental and timeless effectiveness in close-quarters combat.
Our source highlights wrestling's primary focus on grappling and ground fighting, emphasizing control, leverage, and the ability to dictate the terms of engagement on the ground. Its demonstrated effectiveness spans millennia, showing up in ancient Olympic Games, thriving in modern MMA, and even proving crucial during historical conflicts like World War II, where close-quarters combat skills were paramount. It involves a wide range of grappling techniques, including intricate holds, powerful throws, and pins designed to control or incapacitate an opponent.
Right. And while often seen in its sport context, the underlying principles are inherently dangerous in real combat. Our source explicitly mentions one specific hazardous maneuver often associated with grappling arts, though typically seen in professional wrestling: the pile driver. This technique involves driving an opponent head first into the mat. Now, while its primary association is with performance, its inclusion here underscores the raw, dangerous potential of wrestling's core movements, specifically powerful slams and impacts if applied without control in a real, uncontrolled scenario.
So even if the pile driver itself is more theatrical, the idea of driving someone down forcefully.
Exactly. Even outside a performance context, the principles of spinal compression and forceful impact are clear dangers. A powerful suplex or a double-leg takedown executed on a hard surface can easily result in severe concussions, spinal injuries, or immediate unconsciousness.
So this is an ancient art, one of the foundational human combat systems that still holds its own in modern high-stakes combat situations. It speaks volumes to the timeless nature of its core principles. The ability to control, manipulate, and subdue an opponent physically, regardless of strikes, remains an absolutely crucial element of any combat scenario.
It really does. It makes you wonder, how does the remarkable longevity and continued effectiveness of an ancient martial art like wrestling speak to fundamental, unchanging principles of combat and human physiology? What enduring truths about physical interaction and control in a conflict does its enduring relevance reveal to us?
Fascinating. Okay, from ancient wrestling, where to?
From the ancient foundational art of wrestling, we transition to Vale Tudo, a Brazilian full-contact combat sport whose very name translates provocatively as anything goes. This name itself immediately gives you a very clear, unfiltered idea of its raw, unrestricted nature.
This system gained notoriety through underground fights in Brazil, known for its brutal effectiveness and deadly techniques borrowed from a wide variety of martial arts. all characterized by minimal to almost non-existent rules. Our source describes it unequivocally as an incredibly dangerous martial art to practice. The anything goes philosophy isn't just a catchy phrase. It literally means very few, if any, restrictions on what's allowed in order to incapacitate an opponent. This includes headbutts, groin strikes, eye gouges, and other techniques often prohibited in regulated sports.
Yeah, it was rough. The source states that veiled Tudo fighters are renowned for their powerful takedowns, hard, impactful strikes in all ranges, standing and on the ground, and a relentless ground game that pushes for submissions or brutal ground and pound. Crucially, the incredibly permissive nature of veiled Tudo fights, with their few rules and severe lack of restrictions, profoundly and directly impacted the development of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, or UFC. The early UFC events were essentially veiled Tudo fights brought to a global stage, directly demonstrating its brutal effectiveness in shaping modern combat sports and proving what happens when different martial arts are pitted against each other with minimal rules.
So this wasn't just a fringe illicit activity. It was a genuine, albeit harsh, crucible that forged the blueprint for what we now recognize as modern mixed martial arts. It truly showed the world the effectiveness of cross-training and a no-rules mindset.
It absolutely did. And this raises an incredibly important point. How did such a fundamentally no-rules combat system fundamentally reshape the landscape of modern mixed martial arts, moving it from specialized styles to integrated fighting? And what does this say about the evolution of fighting itself? Does removing traditional constraints lead to a more effective or simply a more brutal form of combat? And what are the implications for martial arts development moving forward?
A really crucial evolutionary step, it seems like, even if brutal. Okay, what's next?
Moving from the full contact chaos of veiled Tudo back to a more codified yet equally devastating striking art, we turn to Muay Thai, the Thai martial art famously known for utilizing all 8 extremities. This is why it's often revered and feared as the art of 8 limbs.
That designation truly highlights its comprehensive striking arsenal. It means practitioners effectively utilize punches, kicks, elbows, and knees, providing incredible efficiency and power across all striking ranges, from long-distance kicks to devastating close-quarters elbow and knee strikes. Our source notes its powerful and often difficult-to-anticipate roundhouse kicks, delivered with full hip rotation, can generate immense force, capable of rendering an adversary unconscious or breaking bones, making it exceptionally deadly. You don't just have to worry about hands or feet. Every major joint of the body becomes a potential weaponized point of impact.
Absolutely. Muay Thai's versatility and sheer power in its attacks are notoriously known to cause severe injuries. The source specifically mentions broken ribs from body kicks, shattered orbital bones from elbow strikes, and debilitating leg injuries from powerful low kicks. And with a grim emphasis, the source specifically notes several documented deaths in the Muay Thai ring in recent years, highlighting that this isn't just theoretical danger. These are very real tragic consequences of its immense power, underscoring the absolute necessity of prioritizing safety, strict rules, and proper, highly supervised training.
It's undeniably a devastating art. The sheer force, speed, and variety of strikes, particularly those from the elbows and knees in close quarters, make it incredibly potent and effective at ending a fight quickly. It demands an incredible level of physical conditioning and mental toughness.
It really does. It begs the question, what makes a martial art that so comprehensively and powerfully utilizes all 8 limbs so uniquely dangerous and effective? And what does this systematic leveraging of the entire body illustrate about maximizing human physical potential in combat, particularly in striking exchanges? It's about turning the entire body into a cohesive, multi-directional weapon system.
Powerful stuff. All right, moving on from Muay Thai.
Our journey into deadly martial arts continues now with Judo, a Japanese martial art rooted in the principle of Jugyoku Seisu. Gentleness overcomes strength, or rather maximum efficiency with minimum effort. It emphasizes quick movement, superior positioning, and leverage to gain a decisive advantage over an opponent. It's an art where refined technique truly triumphs over raw physical power.
Judo throws are particularly dynamic and powerful techniques, often designed to quickly incapacitate an opponent by slamming them to the ground with immense force. Our source points out that well-executed strong throws can cause significant immediate damage, including severe concussions, the disruption of tendons, and the fracturing of bones upon impact with a hard surface. It's not just about landing gracefully on a mat, it's about the sheer kinetic energy and control that precedes that fall, weaponizing gravity itself.
That's a great way to put it. Despite its evolution into an Olympic sport, Judo remains an exceptionally effective form of self-defense and a foundation for ground combat. This is evidenced by the statistic provided by our source that 59.4% of MMA fighters have sustained some kind of injury during their bouts, indicating the pervasive prevalence and inherent danger of grappling and throwing in modern combat sports.
Almost 60%, that's high.
It is. This data powerfully underlines how significant grappling is in contemporary fighting, and judo is a profound master of it. The source particularly stresses that mastering the proper technique for landing safely is the single most essential skill to acquire in the early stages of learning judo, emphasizing the critical self-preservation aspect of its rigorous training.
So even though it's a globally recognized sport, its underlying applications are clearly incredibly dangerous. The ability to precisely control an opponent's body and direct their fall with such immense force is a formidable and potentially fight-ending skill. It's a prime example of how finesse can be more dangerous than brute strength.
Indeed. It leads us to ponder. How does the principle of maximum efficiency with minimum effort, which is so central to judo, translate directly into its deadly potential in a real confrontation? And what broader lessons does this fundamental concept tell us about the power of refined technique and intelligent application over raw, unthinking brute strength in any domain?
Another great question. From Japan to Korea, then.
Yeah, exactly. From the groundbreaking techniques of Japanese judo, we now move to Korea for taekwondo, a martial art instantly recognizable and renowned globally for its powerful, dynamic, and incredibly fast kicks. This is a martial art that truly elevates leg techniques to an art form.
Our source details Taekwondo's key features with impressive clarity. Its signature strong and often difficult to anticipate kicks, a significant focus on high, spinning, and acrobatic jumping kicks, an overwhelming emphasis on speed, agility, and dynamic movement, and a sophisticated combination of both hand strikes and powerful kicks. These cumulative elements undoubtedly make it a formidable and visually spectacular martial art. It's designed to keep opponents at a distance and overwhelm them with rapid, multi-directional leg attacks that carry immense force.
Very true. But while often considered highly effective for self-defense and certainly potent in a sport context, the source offers an important nuance. Its very specialization on technique in kicking can, paradoxically, make it difficult to use against more experienced opponents with superior close-range footwork, clinch skills, or grappling abilities. This is a crucial caveat, highlighting that while specialization can be incredibly powerful, it can also create potential vulnerabilities if not balanced. For effectiveness in real-life combat scenarios, practitioners, our source states, must prioritize adaptability and versatility, integrating other skills to round out their game.
So while the kicks are undeniably incredible and devastatingly powerful, there's a clear implication that for truly unpredictable real-world situations, one might need to round out their game beyond just leg attacks. It's a reminder that no single specialization is a perfect solution in all scenarios.
Precisely. This brings us to a compelling question. What are the inherent advantages and potential limitations of a martial art that specializes so heavily and profoundly in one area, such as kicking, when faced with diverse and varied combat situations? Does hyper-specialization always translate to universal effectiveness, or are there trade-offs that practitioners must understand and compensate for?
Makes sense. Specialization versus versatility. Okay, 2 more left in our detailed dive.
That's right. Our next stop takes us to the vibrant archipelago of Indonesia for Silat, a highly regarded Indonesian martial art that uniquely emphasizes joint locks, a wide array of devastating strikes, and critically, a strong focus on weapon defense techniques. This is a very comprehensive and often less commonly known art in the Western world, steeped in tradition and practical application.
Our source considers Silat one of the most effective and comprehensive martial arts in the world, renowned for its adaptability. Silat practitioners fluidly utilize intricate joint locks, powerful throws, sweeping techniques, and strikes from various, often unexpected angles. They significantly increase their speed, fluidity, and efficiency through specific repetitive kuda-kuda drills, which are low stances that build immense leg strength and balance, allowing for rapid transitions and powerful attacks. It's a very fluid, adaptable system that can transition quickly between different ranges and types of attacks, often mimicking animal movements.
Its varied and highly adaptable approach to combat scenarios, incorporating punches, kicks, blocks, and complex parries, especially against armed assailants, truly makes it a lethal martial art in real-world contexts. And with a stark emphasis, the source points out that traditional Silat training, particularly sparring sessions, are often conducted without protective gear, significantly increasing the chances of severe injuries. This profound lack of protection in training truly speaks to the inherent danger and the extreme seriousness with which traditional practitioners approach and embody this potent art. It's a method of forging resilience and understanding consequences.
That's a truly serious commitment to realism in training, even if it carries significant inherent risks. It underscores how deeply embedded the deadly aspect is within its very practice and philosophy. It's not just a sport. It's a complete combative system designed for survival.
Exactly. And this makes us consider, how does the deep and integral integration of weapon defense into a martial art fundamentally increase its perceived deadliness and practical utility? And what profound insights does this tell us about the real-world threats that these martial arts were originally developed to counter? It acknowledges that conflict often involves more than just bare hands, demanding a comprehensive response.
A very important point. Okay, last one in our deep dive. Line.
Finally, yes, we examine LINE, which stands for Linear Infighting Neural Override Engagement, a close-quarters combat system primarily employed by segments of the United States military. This isn't just a martial art in the traditional sense. It's a highly specialized combat system, explicitly designed for very specific, high-stakes operational environments.
This system was developed with great precision for particular combat scenarios, emphasizing rapid neutralization in confined spaces. It gained a reputation for its lethal techniques and stringent proficiency requirements. The intense focus on close-quarter combat technique development and its supposed efficiency, along with claims of low physical strength requirements, initially made it increasingly popular among civilians and even some MMA fighters, who believed it offered a universal system for effective, close-range neutralization, supposedly allowing practitioners of any size or gender to participate effectively.
Right. That was the initial perception. But what's truly fascinating and quite revealing here is the evolution of this system within the military itself. Our source reveals that the line combat system was actually replaced by the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, MCMAP, in standard U.S. Marine training.
Replaced? Why?
The reason for this significant shift, as detailed in our research, its surprising ineffectiveness in real combat context.
Wow. Ineffective. A system designed for lethality.
Apparently so. MCMO, in stark contrast, is a far broader program that emphasizes not just techniques, but crucial mental and character development, the responsible use of force, leadership, and teamwork. This was a profound, almost philosophical shift in military doctrine regarding combat training.
That is a colossal revelation. A system specifically designed for lethal techniques and efficiency, even touted for its broad applicability, was ultimately deemed ineffective for actual combat by the very military that developed it. That's an incredibly powerful statement about what true combat efficacy entails beyond just the ability to deliver a knockout blow or a submission.
Indeed. It forces us to confront an important question. What does the military's decision to replace a system focused purely on lethal techniques with one that emphasizes broader development encompassing mental fortitude, ethical considerations, and teamwork? Tell us about the true, multifaceted nature of combat effectiveness and the responsible use of force in real-world scenarios. It strongly suggests that technical lethality alone is insufficient for true, sustainable combat efficacy in complex, unpredictable environments.
What a fascinating twist. Okay, we've truly taken a profound deep dive into these incredibly diverse, often brutal, and undeniably deadly martial arts. So what does this all mean when we connect these individual threads? What unifying principles, what overarching insights stand out to you from this extensive exploration?
Well, if we truly connect this to the bigger picture, a pervasive common thread across almost all of these deadly arts is their unwavering focus on efficiency, adaptability, and practicality in real-world scenarios. They often prioritize rapid incapacitation over rigid sport-specific rules, as we saw with Krav Maga and Veil Tudo. Our source repeatedly emphasizes that determining the deadliest isn't a simple, straightforward calculation. Efficacy, adaptability to various situations, and practicality and application are all equally critical factors to consider. It's not about which one is the strongest in isolation, but which one works most effectively under immense pressure.
And on that note, our source provides a very clear answer for one specific, highly practical aspect: which martial art is considered the most effective for self-defense.
Our research definitively points to Krav Maga as being widely recommended for self-defense purposes. Its design philosophy specifically targets effectiveness in real-world, unpredictable situations, and it's structured to be accessible and effective for individuals of all body types. While it aims for the minimum amount of force necessary to neutralize a threat, the source confirms it can certainly be deadly in certain situations, given its aggressive, no-holds-barred nature. However, when trained properly and safely, it offers an incredibly effective and pragmatic self-defense tool without inherently involving fatal consequences, if the threat can be neutralized without them. It's about a measured yet incredibly decisive response to danger.
And it's absolutely critical, as our source vehemently and repeatedly warns, to reiterate the profound potential risks involved in practicing these arts. The danger of serious injury or even death is very real if a practitioner is not properly trained, if they lack experienced supervision, or if they do not exercise extreme caution. Safety protocols are not merely guidelines, they are absolutely vital requirements that our source stresses multiple times. These aren't games, they are serious skills with very serious, potentially life-altering consequences.
Absolutely paramount. And this naturally raises an incredibly important, almost philosophical question for anyone contemplating or simply interested in these martial arts. What is your ultimate primary goal? Is it pure self-defense, competitive sport, profound personal growth and discipline, or purely understanding the mechanics of combat and human conflict? The choice of martial art and how you approach its study should fundamentally align with your specific goals and priorities, because the methods, mindsets, and inherent risks are so vastly different across these disciplines.
A really important consideration. Okay, looking forward, our source delves into the future of deadly martial arts. What can we anticipate as these incredible traditions and the very nature of combat continue to evolve in the coming decades?
As the world of martial arts and indeed human conflict continues to evolve at an accelerated pace, we can definitively anticipate two primary trends: the development of entirely new forms and the profound adaptation and hybridization of existing styles. This will involve an even deeper and more sophisticated incorporation of elements from various martial arts, including integrated striking, comprehensive grappling, and versatile submission holds. It's a continuous, dynamic process of refinement and integration, driven by the desire for maximal effectiveness.
So it sounds like highly specialized, isolated styles might become less dominant, and hybrid systems are truly the future, becoming even more lethal by expertly borrowing and blending the most effective techniques from multiple disciplines. It sounds like the anything-goes philosophy of Vale Tudo, but perhaps with far more structure and scientific rigor.
Exactly. Our source emphatically suggests that with ongoing advancements in training techniques, sports science, and a significantly increased focus on the practical, real-world application of martial arts in diverse scenarios, the future of deadly martial arts promises to be even more lethal, more adaptable, and ultimately more effective than ever before. New, truly groundbreaking forms could emerge, becoming more profoundly lethal than even the most dangerous existing ones, precisely by intelligently combining strategies and techniques for maximum, almost ruthless efficiency. It's about optimizing the outcome, regardless of the source of the technique.
This strongly implies that for anyone engaging with martial arts, or indeed any complex skill set, the ability to remain adaptable, versatile, and open to integrating diverse knowledge will be paramount to staying ahead of the curve. You can't just master one thing, you need to understand the interplay of many and be willing to evolve.
That seems to be the key takeaway, yes. Adaptability.
We've truly explored the captivating and formidable world of deadly martial arts today, meticulously delving into the precise criteria that define them, examining their specific techniques and rich histories, and peering into their compelling future evolution. It's a world where incredible human skill meets very serious, often life-altering risk, and where the ultimate purpose of the art profoundly shapes its inherent power.
What remains truly fascinating here is how these ancient traditions, many born from the direst necessity and honed through centuries of real-world application, continue to adapt, combine, and profoundly influence our contemporary understanding of combat, human potential, and even the nature of conflict itself. The journey to mastering any martial art is indeed a challenging and often lifelong pursuit, rooted in an unwavering commitment to growth, discipline, and continuous learning. It's never a static endpoint, but an ongoing process.
So as you reflect on this deep dive, what does this all mean for you?
Consider this provocative thought. If the most enduring and effective martial arts are ultimately those that are willing to adapt, to combine diverse techniques, and to prioritize real-world application and survival over rigid rules or traditional dogma, what profound lessons does this tell us about the nature of true mastery and effectiveness in any complex field you might be pursuing? Is adaptability and the willingness to integrate diverse knowledge and constantly evolve truly the ultimate path to sustained effectiveness, no matter the arena?
A truly powerful thought to leave you with. Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep into the incredible knowledge that surrounds us.